it's Rachel here with Senza Tempo Cane Corso. So, I've had a crazy day today and I wanted to share. I've got my boy Preacher. I've got my boy Kibby. Whoa, bless you. Bless you, Preacher. And I've got, look at that movement. Look at Kubrick. He's so big and jealous. And then I've also got Zenyatta out here. Where you at, Yaya? There you are, Zenyatta. Hey, you're my baby girl. What you my baby girl? Did you baby girl? Really, Kubo? Never misses an opportunity to be jealous. So, crazy day today. I had a customer who called me. Their dog was urinating, had blood in the urine, and was throwing up. And immediately I knew that the dog had a urinary tract infection. Now, it was a puppy, and there are other things that can cause blood in the urine, but when it's a puppy, it's not older dog, 9.5, 9.9 times out of 10, it's gonna be a urinary tract infection when you see blood in the urine. It's oftentimes very hard to distinguish frequent urination out of puppies because they naturally urinate frequently. So it can be hard to see that increase that would signify a urinary tract infection. And so sometimes it goes unnoticed, which is totally normal. It's not a fault of the owners. It can happen. And in fact, it happened to me with my Mortigan one time, and he's an adult dog. So anyway, so I tell them the puppy, a urinary tract infection can get serious. Come here, get out of that now. Oh, whoa, where'd you come from? Holy cow, I didn't even know you were here. You were in the bathroom?
Yeah.
When did you get home?
I've been home for like 15 minutes.
Oh my God, so I've just been sitting out here alone on the porch, talking on the phone?
I was in the bathroom.
Oh wow, okay, all right.
Hey, Preacher,
Well, welcome home. So anyway, heck, now I lost my train of thought. Anyway, so it happened with my Mortigan before to me. So like I said, it can happen. Well, I let them know that, because it is serious when they get to the point of puking, you really do. It is getting, I would say it is an emergency at that point. So it is very important that you get them to the vet. And really what they need is they might need some fluids. They will probably need a shot for nausea, and then they will need antibiotics. And really and truly, that's all they need. It's pretty simple. Typically, amoxicillin is usually strong enough to get the job done. Well, they call me, these customers of mine, they call me to let me know that the emergency vet wants $1,500 just to walk in the door.
What?
And yeah, $1,500
On a weekday?
On a weekday just to walk in the door in the afternoon, mind you. And so I tell them, don't do that. Don't do it. Find a vet that's open, a non-emergency vet that's open that you can do a walk-in, and do that instead. So they're able to find that because there's always vets that are going to be open. But that vet, without me knowing, which mind you, obviously, I'm not there. You know what I mean? So, but if they had asked me, I would have told them not to do this, right? So the vet wanted to do an X-ray because of the throwing up. I guess they were trying to say that, it's possible that the puppy could have something in the gut. Now, me already knowing that there is blood in the urine, that would not be the first thing that I would have considered, because the puking is a symptom of the urinary. Everything falls in line symptom-wise with a urinary tract infection. So there really isn't a reason to do that. Now, some people might say, well, you never know and blah, blah, blah. And that is true. With anything at any time, you never know. And you could always run the gambit of tests to ensure that it's not one of these other things. If you just have no care in the world about your finances. You know what I mean? Sure, if you want to sit there and you want to waste all your money, absolutely fine, if that makes you feel better. But it's not necessary. And so, and the vet tried to charge them, I think, like $600 for the x-rays. Well, they were able to kind of protest that, fight back a little bit. So the vet lowered it down to, I think, $350. Ooh, structure. So then the vet wants to run a parvo test. And exactly. And I'm like, and I'm just sitting here like, no, the dog does not have parvo. Dogs do not bleed from their urinary tract when they have parvo. They will have they will bleed. They'll have blood in the stool. They'll have very liquidy stool. It will actually look more like chocolate milk, oddly enough, because the blood in it mixes, and it's not like what you would think. It's not as red and like bloody as you would think. It's very much mixed. And it's not something that is it's not something that's easy to confuse, is what I'll say. And so I'm like annoyed, not with them, but with the vet, because it's like very clearly the vet is taking advantage. This is not parvo. The puppy did not have a fever. That's another thing, which actually surprised me, because I would have expected a fever with the urinary tract infection, but hey, it is what it is. But you would have had fever with parvo. So they run a parvo test. Sure enough, it comes up negative. After it comes up negative, then the vet agrees that it's a urinary tract infection. Only after they had run all the tests that basically, that could have been described any other symptom except for the main symptom, which was the blood in the urine. But like the puking, they wanted to, they wanted to act like the puking was a different set of symptoms. And it wasn't. They were very much in line with each other for a urinary tract infection. So the vet exposed this puppy to radiation, which, may or may not be a problem. I don't know. But it was unnecessary. And also put the puppy through the stress of even going through all of that, the x-rays and the blood draw for the test, for no reason, when the reality was the puppy had a urinary tract infection. And the vet, after everything was done, so initially they knew that they thought that it was urinary tract infection because I had said that, and the vet was just pushing back. Well, and she had texted me, and she's like, the vet thinks it's a virus. And I said, look, I really wish I could talk to your vet, because the thing about it is that a lot of these vets will behave that way until they're met with somebody that has more knowledge, and then they don't like it. I mean, they still don't like it. They'll act very much like how the vet did on the video from Christmas Day with Velocity, right? They'll get very rude and arrogant and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. And they'll even decline you, whatever, but at least they're not taking your money. You know what I'm saying? And so, long story short, after they've run all these unnecessary tests, then they come back in and say, okay, yes, we think it is the urinary tract infection. Can you grab her? Because I really don't want her running after them like that. She just doesn't have the, little puppies really shouldn't be running that like that.
Ow, she bit my chin.
You want to go put her away for me? Look at that face. Look at the face. Oh, my sweet baby.
How'd she sleep with you last
night? Oh, I love you so muchos. Oh, I love you so muchos. What is it? Te quiero mucho.
Oh.
She got you again?
No, he ran into me.
Oh, okay. And so I think that the reason I wanted to make this video is, once again, to caution you. There was a time when most veterinarians cared about dogs. But I have not, and I'm just speaking from experience, I have not found that to be the case the majority of the time now. I'm sure that there are plenty of vets out there that still very much do love animals. I remember in Texas, I had some good vets that very much did. So I know that they are out there, but I have been experiencing this massive amount of new vets, they're usually younger, that are very indifferent to you and to your dog. And they're very matter of fact, and they're kind of rude and cold. And it's basically like, you either do what they tell you to do, as far as treating your dog and all the stuff that they want to do, or they will be rude, condescending, and basically talk to you as though you are not a good owner, as though you're irresponsible, as though you're cheap, as though you don't care. And there is nothing, like, no one should try to make you feel like you are a bad owner because you are trying to be fiscally responsible, okay? It does you no good if you burn out all your finances on symptoms that do not align with what your dog is going through. And then what would happen? You know what I mean? What if you exhaust all your resources and then something big does happen and then you don't have the money, right? Like, there's nothing responsible about completely losing or spending all of your money, on what ifs, when the reality of the situation is that, it is this other thing. Now, obviously, you can't just go to Google and Google what the symptoms are, right? Like, I knew what this was because I have so many dogs and I've owned so many dogs, and then I have so many customers. So I hear about all this kind of stuff. And when you have, it's just a numbers thing. You know what I mean? When you have as many dogs as I have, you see a lot more than the average owner does. And when you're breeding and stuff. And so I'm going to have a lot more experience than the average person is going to have to be able to help out with that kind of stuff. And so, if you think about it this way, like, I would say that our dogs cost about as much as most people's do, that are on the same level as us. But there are obviously going to be backyard bred dogs that are cheaper. But guess what? I was able to save my buyer. So their original quote was like, I think $1,500. Well, they only spent like $650. So I was able to save them almost $1,000 by my knowledge, right? And so it's important to think about that. You know what I mean? Let's say that they had went with somebody cheaper, and the very most it would have probably been about $1,000 cheaper. Well, they literally just saved that in one vet visit, just by talking with me and having me help them, coach them through this experience. And so, and I'm not saying to contact me if you're just, the only people I do this for are my buyers. Like, I do not have enough, I hate to say this and I'm not trying to be weird, but I don't have enough time to help everybody out there in the world with this kind of stuff. But it is a service that I do provide to my buyers. If you buy a dog from me and you've got questions, you can contact me. And obviously I'm not a vet, so I cannot give veterinary advice, but I can tell you my experiences. I can tell you what to have them test for, what to look for, and I can help guide you down that path while trying to help you save as much money as possible. And that's in a lot of things, you know what I mean? There's a lot of areas that I do that for my buyers. So just some food for thought, but just look at that structure. But just keep in mind, like I said, that we are past the point where a lot of vets were just, animal loving people. We are at a point now where a lot of veterinary offices are no longer privately owned. They are typically part of big, huge corporate conglomerates, and the vets are almost like contract workers there. And they are profit-driven machines. Ever since the invent of pet insurance, we've just gotten to this part where the costs have absolutely skyrocketed. And I think that, I don't know that people realize this, but I would be willing to bet money on this. Okay, I would literally be willing to bet on this, that there are more dogs being euthanized by veterinarians from a people's lack of ability to pay their prices than there are animals, or I should say dogs, being euthanized by shelters. I have no problem betting on that. No problem at all. Because the numbers are kind of skewed anyway on that. I was looking into that quite a bit. And like, if you excluded just just cats alone from those numbers. Like cats make up a huge part of the euthanization factors for shelters. And not only that, but there is no separation between feral cats that are brought in versus actual like people's pets. And then they don't account for how many of the dogs that are brought in or cats that are brought in that are either really old, because a lot of people will abandon old animals at shelters. And so, come here. And so they can't, ooh, you look good. Structure. You're beautiful. And so, come here. Get your butt back over here right now. There's ticks back there. Come on. Move it. Hustle. Preacher. Come. Now. Let's go. Move it. Get your butt over here. I don't want you out there where the ticks are. And so anyway, now I lost my dang train of thought. You done distracted me, boy. You done distracted me. And I feel like it was important. And somebody will remind me in the comment section and I'll respond back and let you know. Like usual, whenever I lose my train of thought. But anyway, just, you know, not all vets are, it's not that they won't save your animal. It's just that they're probably going to try to drain your pocketbook in the process. So, and I hate it. I can't tell you how much I hate it. Like, I don't like having to say this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I hate that this is the truth. I can't tell you how frustrating it is to be in a profession and to be reliant on these people. I can't escape them. You know what I'm saying? And to see this stuff on an everyday basis and to know, like, you know, there's no reason that me as a breeder that I should have more knowledge of what that dog needed, what that puppy needed than a vet. And I don't think I did. I don't think I did. I'm not that arrogant to assume that I knew something they didn't know. I think that they absolutely knew that that puppy had a urinary tract infection. I just think that they were just, you know, gonna get every little red penny cent that they could get out of it. That's what I think. And that's wrong. That is wrong. And them same people will try to look down on you when you tell them that you don't want to pay for all that additional testing. They'll look at you and get snooty, walk out the room, acting like you're just, you know, you don't love your pets, blah, blah, blah. But on the flip side, they want to poke, prod, and radiate for no good reason, for money, you know, and they're perfectly fine with that. So, it sucks. I wish it wasn't true. And all I can tell you is that I'm 40 years old now, and let me tell you something. I'm glad. Whenever the good Lord decides to take me, I'm perfectly fine with it. And if he decides to take me a little early, I'm fine with that too, because every day this country gets worse and worse and worse, and I just hate to see it. I don't want to see no more. I just don't want to see it. You know, flat out being honest with you. Used to be, you know, we were talking about, I told you guys I used to breed pit bulls, and I told you guys I've had to break up fights. Well, I had a situation where I had this dog named Frances. She's spayed, she's a pet, but she lived out at my dad's house, and I had went and got her. I wanted to spend some time with her, and this back when I was breeding, and I'd brought her home. Well, she'd been there for a couple days, and I went out on a date with my boyfriend at the time, and I had a friend of mine and her boyfriend watch my dogs. And, you know, there was some mix-up in communication, and she put out that dog Frances out with the rest of the dogs. And I don't know why they didn't hear it, but by the time I got home, it was over, and she was just, you know, in the corner of the yard dying. And they ripped her up, and this dog looked like Frankenstein by the time that the vet was done with her. Tubes all over her, you know what I mean, things like that. And this had to have been around like 2007 or something like that, so it wasn't that long ago. And the vet fixed that dog, saved her life for $600. That's what the vet charged. An emergency vet in Austin, Texas, $600. She lived, she was fine. I felt bad. I got her fixed up and saved, and I lived with that guilt the rest of my life. And, you know, I was real hard on myself over that, you know what I mean? Because just felt horrible. But she lived a very long life. She lived till she was 13 years old and died on Thanksgiving Day. Was out playing with kids for Thanksgiving, and then laid under a bush and passed away peacefully. Okay, so she lived an absolutely fantastic life even after that. But that vet, she had asked for more, and I didn't have it at the time. I mean, $600 was a lot back then, and for me is what I'm saying. Like at that time of my life, and she did it. She cared enough to save my dog's life. These days, they would never do that. You know what I mean? I mean, good luck. Like, good luck finding a vet that would actually do something to save your animal's life when you don't have the money. I mean, and it's sad. You know what I mean? Like, she got enough. She didn't do it for free. You know what I mean? It probably covered her costs and maybe the cost of the people. You know what I'm saying? But like, it wasn't like it was nothing. But she saved my dog's life, and I'll never forget that. You know what I mean? Like that one situation, that one experience with a good vet was like so paramount. It's such a unique thing that this power that veterinarians have, where they can either be an angel, right? A godsend, an angel there to preserve and save a precious life, or they can literally say, sorry, you don't have, way thousands of dollars over what this should actually cost. Okay? Let's not play around here, because I'm sick and tired of people saying, well, cost and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And no. I have looked it up. These vets are making, that's why there's so many small animal vets that have popped up recently. I want you to, when you're done watching, I want you to Google, like profit margins for veterinarians, and there are multiple papers and studies and all kinds of stuff that have come out recently that are talking about the system of money that these vets are making. That's why you don't see a lot of large animal vets anymore, because they're all setting up these small, like basically companion animals. So we're talking dogs and cats, and they're profit-driven machines, and they're making I think the smallest I found for a salary, so get out of this. Why are you eating so much grass? No. It was like in the $500,000 range. Do you understand how much money $500,000 is? You don't need, I'm not the type of person to say you don't need that much money, but like legitimately, like what I will tell you is you don't need that much money over the life of an animal. If you have to kill people's animals in order to maintain a $500,000 salary instead of a $250,000 salary, you are an evil, horrible person. Because $250,000 is fine. You can live off that here. You may not be able to live a life that that you want, you know what I mean? Maybe you can't have, but I'm just saying, like, that's a lot of money. I don't think that a lot of people even realize. I think people's perception of money is like kind of skewed, but $500,000 is plenty of money to live comfortably. Is well over $250,000 a year is plenty of money to live extremely comfortably here in America. And if you have to say to people, I am only willing to kill your animal because you can't afford $5,000 for a surgery that used to cost $2,500, then you are an evil, vile person. And maybe that's why the suicide rate is so high in veterinarians. Maybe it's not that people that are mad and hurt that they're having to pay all this money and that they don't like the way that they're being treated, so they treat vets poorly because of the way they're being treated. Maybe it's not that. Maybe it's that they have not the best self-esteem because of the life that they're living. It's possible. That's all I'm saying. It's possible. But I've done the research, so do it yourself. And then if you disagree with me after you've done the research, instead of just commenting from emotion, I don't care if you work in a veterinary office and you want to get up here and you want to virtue signal for your office. That's not going to mean anything to me, because I've looked at the numbers, and you may work at a good office and that's, there's always going to be the exception to the rule. right? So there's always going to be people that don't fit the majority, but that doesn't change what the majority is. And so there's a serious problem with our veterinarians, with the entire veterinary profession, and it is getting out of hand. And you may not care, but you will care when it's your dog having to be put down because you don't have, only now is it like do you have any, like, the prices have, since 2019 until now, I think prices have doubled. So whenever I went to get Izzy spayed, I got a quote for, I think the minimum was $2,500 up to like $5,000 from a regular vet for a complicated spay, just a regular spay. That's how much they wanted. And there is literally no excuse for that. And so if they're already that high, imagine how much higher they're going to be. And the real question becomes, when everyone's sitting around here talking about how adopt, don't shop, blah, 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 because dogs are being euthanized. Well, what's going to happen whenever all these animal rights activists figure out how many animals are being euthanized because people can't pay? What kind of laws do you think they'll implement to overstep your freedoms so that you don't even get to buy a dog? Maybe you're going to have to apply for a license to be able to have a dog. Maybe you're going to have to show how much money you make. Maybe you're going to have to show that you have X amount of dollars, or maybe you're going to have to buy some really super expensive health insurance plan for your dog to make sure that your dog never dies because you don't have the money. Like, I'm telling you guys, you don't know how nasty this will get. And believe me, if there's a way for these people to make more money and trample on your rights, they absolutely will. If they can force you into having to purchase some kind of health insurance plan for your pet, they absolutely will. Make no mistake about it. So if we don't start pushing back, man, it's going to be weird, man. We're going to get back to the old days where only rich people have dogs. Just going to be honest with you. And believe me, you might think I have a lot of money, but I ain't rich. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't probably make it, y'all. That's what I'm saying. I don't think I would make it. So anyway, I'm gonna let y'all go. I've got some stuff to do around the house, but I hope you guys are having a good day. And and just understand that this is coming from a point of love and concern for the animals. I'm not saying that all vets are bad. I know they're not all bad. I've had good vets, and I love and respect good vets. But there's far too many that are not living up to that. That are not, they know they're not living right. And contrary to what people may say about the reasons why the veterinary practice has all of a sudden randomly started to escalate in suicides, come on, you guys. You're smarter than that. You know what I mean? You're smarter than that. A profession does not randomly change for no reason. Something had to change. It's not like people all of a sudden randomly just started being mean to veterinarians for no reason. You see what I'm saying? Don't think deeper is what I'm saying. Think deeper, because I've read back whenever I had the problem with that one vet, I had people accusing me of being the kind of person who's responsible for veterinarians doing that. And so I looked it up because, that's how I am. So I Googled it and I'm like, why are they doing this? You know what I mean? What are they saying? And a vast majority of them had multiple reasons. But one of the reasons why was that many of them had said that they got into the profession to help animals and found out that they were actually spending a lot of time euthanizing animals. And so, and that it was heartbreaking, that there was too much. Now, to me, I feel like if that was you, that the likelihood is that you would just get a different profession. Usually when somebody doesn't like their job, they quit it and get a new job. So I just don't think it's that simple. I think that when somebody does that to themselves, it's typically, a deeply personal thing. And I don't think that that adults are just offing themselves. They went through middle school, high school, elementary school, getting bullied, all that stuff. They go through all of that. You know what I mean? I don't think that's it. I just don't. I think that they are that they get into the system when they're young, and it's like when you're young and you're desperate and you're scared and you don't know what you're going to do with your life, and so you just do it because you're scared and you want to make it. And then as you do it and you go on about your life and you continue on, and it's like, and it becomes that becomes your existence of telling people, of just knowing. I mean, I couldn't do it. I'm telling you that right now. I could not do it. There's no way that I could literally spend my life ripping people off and feel good about myself. I don't think so. And I don't think a lot of people can. I think a lot of people can do it out of fear and then crumble under that. Maybe they don't even realize it at first. I don't know. Maybe it hits them later. I don't know. But all I can tell you is that it isn't the same. Things have changed a lot. And for the worse. And the worst thing is that the dogs are the ones suffering. The dogs are the ones that don't have, that are being put through all the extensive testing and blood draws and all that stuff for no reason. And they're the ones that are being euthanized whenever these prices get so high that no one can afford them anymore, or that people are just not willing to pay it. I mean, really and truthfully, you do get to a point where it's like, look, this is a 5-year-old dog. I might get another, depending upon the age of the dog, I might get another, 6 years out of him, maybe, like, I think at a certain point, people, the math ain't mathin', and they just get to the point where they're like, I'll just put the dog down and I'll just buy a new puppy. And I'm not saying that that's right, but, I'm not the arbiter of what's right and wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get to control what people do. You know what I mean? It's not my fault, or even hell, their fault that a vet is even making that an option. That they are literally, that it is cheaper to buy a whole new pedigree dog, $2,500 dog, than it would be to save their own dog's life. So, it's just, they're counting on on the way that people think about dogs like people. And so they're trying to make the entire system the way that it is for people, where you'll have to have health insurance and prices will get really high and this and that. And undoubtedly, just like it is with people, millions of animals that live in homes where people don't have that will suffer, and they will have to be put down. And there's no need for it. There is absolutely no need for it. It is wholly unnecessary and strictly profit driven, and it is not okay. So, if the Lord chooses to take me sooner rather than later, I am at peace. I love my life. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely. But, I know where I'm going, and it just hurts me so much to see the way that it's going, and the people that participate in it, that just willfully participate in it. It's just, it's really sad, but I'm gonna let y'all go. Like I said, I should have gotten off already. It's way too long a video. So I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.